$535 million of your money. Gone. But here's the part that'll make your blood boil. The guy in charge got paid more after the company failed than before. Not from investors. Not from customers. From the government. Your government. His salary increased as the company collapsed. $257,000 a year to manage a bankruptcy. To shut down a factory that never should have been built. To write memos about a disaster everyone saw coming. While 1,000 workers packed their desks and filed for unemployment, he was exercising stock options worth over $1 million. The company was called Solyndra. The FBI raided it. Congress investigated it. The president had personally endorsed it just months before. And when the smoke cleared, the executives walked away wealthy. The workers walked away with nothing. And taxpayers? We're still paying the bill. This isn't a story about fraud. It's worse than that. It's a story about a system so broken that doing nothing pays better than doing anything. Let's rewind to 2009. The economy is in free fall. Banks are collapsing. Unemployment is at 10%. And the newly elected president stands before Congress with a plan. Spend our way out of the crisis with green jobs. The American Recovery and Reinvestment Act passes with $90 billion earmarked for clean energy. Not loans that might get repaid. Grants, subsidies, and loan guarantees designed to kickstart an industry. Wall Street smells blood in the water. The good kind. Suddenly, every solar startup in Silicon Valley is racing to Washington with PowerPoints and prototypes. They're not selling to customers, they're selling to bureaucrats. And bureaucrats have terrible taste in investments. Enter Solyndra. The company makes cylindrical solar panels, tubes of black glass that look like they belong on the Death Star. The pitch: traditional flat panels only capture direct sunlight. These tubes capture light from every angle, even reflections from rooftops. It sounds revolutionary. It sounds like the future. It's also completely unmarketable, but nobody cares about that yet. What matters is that Solyndra has connections. The primary investor is George Kaiser, an Oklahoma billionaire who raised millions for Obama's campaign. The company's lobbyists are walking the halls of the Department of Energy like they own the place. In March 2009, Solyndra becomes the first company to receive a loan guarantee under the new program. $535 million. It's presented as a vote of confidence in American innovation. It's actually a political prop, but props need stage managers. And that's where our story really begins. Brian Harrison isn't a villain. That's what makes this story so disturbing. He's a Stanford MBA with energy sector experience. A consultant who's bounced between startups, the kind of guy who uses words like synergy and optimization without irony. In any other timeline, he's middle management at a mid-tier firm making decent money. But it's 2009, and decent money is about to become indecent money. Solyndra needs someone to run operations at their new factory in Fremont, California. Someone who looks good on paper. Someone who can interface with Department of Energy auditors and say the right things in the right tone. They offer Harrison $250,000 a year plus stock options. He takes the job in late 2009. By his own later testimony, his primary responsibility is overseeing the construction and operation of the manufacturing facility. Here's what that actually means. He's a bureaucratic buffer between the fantasies being sold to Washington and the nightmare being built in California. The Fremont factory is genuinely impressive. $733 million in construction costs, more than the loan itself, funded by additional private investment. Robotic assembly lines. State-of-the-art clean rooms. The works. President Obama tours it in May 2010, standing in front of workers in hard hats, declaring, "The true engine of economic growth will always be companies like Solyndra." 10 months later, the company will be discussing bankruptcy with its lawyers. What went wrong? Everything and nothing. The technology works, technically. The tubes do what they're supposed to do. But they cost $6 to manufacture and sell for $3. That's not a typo. The company is losing money on every single panel. Meanwhile, Chinese manufacturers are flooding the market with traditional flat panels at rock-bottom prices. The price of crystalline silicon, the main material in standard panels, drops 42% in 2010 alone. Solyndra's revolutionary tubes are being obsoleted in real time by commodity products that are cheaper and simpler. But here's the insidious part. None of this matters to Harrison's paycheck. His compensation isn't tied to profitability. It's tied to milestones. Construction phases completed, equipment installed, loan tranches drawn down. He's being paid to spend money, not make it. And by that metric, he's Employee of the Year. By late 2010, the executives know the company is doomed. Internal emails later obtained by congressional investigators show CFO Bill Stover writing in October 2010, "We are currently in a race to raise cash before our existing funds run out." In February 2011, CEO Brian Harrison sends an email warning. The company is in a cash crisis. The solution? Restructure the loan. Here's where it gets truly outrageous. The Department of Energy agrees to subordinate the government's debt, meaning if Solyndra goes bankrupt, private investors get paid back before taxpayers. Why would the government agree to this? Politics. It's February 2011. If Solyndra collapses immediately, it becomes a scandal during Obama's re-election campaign. If they can keep it alive until after the 2012 election, maybe the political damage is contained. They restructure. They kick the can. And they need someone to manage the slow-motion train wreck. That's when our Brian Harrison, the operations guy, gets his golden ticket. In early 2011, Harrison is elevated to Chief Restructuring Officer. Let's be crystal clear about what this job entails. Preparing the company for bankruptcy while maintaining the illusion of viability long enough to satisfy political optics. His new salary, $257,000 annually. Think about that. The company is hemorrhaging $200 million a year. It's laying off workers in waves. The factory is running at a fraction of capacity. And the government-backed loan is being used to pay an executive $250,000 to organize the funeral. But it gets worse. Harrison's contract includes retention bonuses and stock options that vest based on time served, not performance. As long as he shows up and manages the restructuring process, he gets paid. Testimony from the bankruptcy proceedings would later reveal that in the 18 months before Solyndra collapsed, executives and board members sold off approximately $500 million in stock to outside investors, even as internal projections showed the company was unsalvageable. Harrison himself exercises stock options worth over $1 million in the months before bankruptcy, according to public filings. He's not stealing. He's not breaking laws. He's following the contract. The contract the government's money made possible. August 31st, 2011. Solyndra files for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. The same day, 1,100 workers received termination notices via email. No severance packages. No advance warning. Just clean out your desk. 2 days later, the FBI raids headquarters in Fremont with search warrants, hauling away servers and filing cabinets. News helicopters circle overhead broadcasting it live. Congress launches multiple investigations. ABC News runs a damning expose. Republicans smell blood and go for the throat, turning it into a symbol of government waste. And here's what the investigations eventually reveal. The executives did nothing illegal. That's not a defense of them. It's an indictment of the system. Every dollar was properly authorized. Every stock sale was disclosed per SEC regulations. Every expense was approved through proper channels. The Department of Energy knew Solyndra was struggling as early as 2010 and restructured the loan anyway. Political appointees overruled the recommendations of their own analysts. A 2011 report from the Treasury Department's Inspector General found that the loan approval process appeared to have been rushed, and that the decision to subordinate the government's debt was made without proper analysis. Rushed because the White House wanted a win. Subordinated because they wanted to delay the political fallout. And in the middle of this elaborate game of kick the can, people like Harrison got rich. When the bankruptcy dust settles, here's the final tally. Taxpayers lost $535 million in loan guarantees, with only about $30 million recovered through asset sales. Workers lost 1,100 jobs, most with no severance. Private investors lost roughly $1 billion in private capital. Executives made. CEO Brian Harrison. The other won approximately $3 million in salary and stock sales. CFO Bill Stover. Approximately $2 million. Various board members and early investors. Millions in early exits before collapse. Our protagonist, operations/restructuring Harrison. Approximately $1.5 million in total compensation and stock sales over his tenure. These numbers come from bankruptcy filings, congressional testimony, and investigative journalism from the Washington Post and the Wall Street Journal. But here's the detail that should make you throw your phone. In the 6 months before bankruptcy, while laying off workers and burning through taxpayer money, Solyndra executives paid themselves nearly $1 million in bonuses and retention payments. Legal. Authorized. Approved. The system working as designed. Harrison never faces charges. Never even gets deposed in the criminal investigation. Because there was no criminal conspiracy. Just a confluence of bad incentives, political pressure, and executives smart enough to read their contracts. He resurfaces a few years later running a consulting firm advising companies on government contracts. His LinkedIn profile still lists his Solyndra experience. The Department of Energy loan program continues to this day, having funded both failures, Solyndra, Fisker Automotive, Abound Solar, and successes. Tesla's $465 million loan was repaid early with interest. But the fundamental problem remains. When you structure incentives around spending rather than earning, you reward the wrong behavior. When you let political timelines dictate business decisions, you enable disasters. When you pay executives to fail slowly instead of quickly, you guarantee they'll take the money. The real scandal. Here's what should keep you up at night. Solyndra wasn't unique. It was just the one that got caught. The same loan program funded dozens of companies. Many failed. Some succeeded. But in almost every case, executives were compensated handsomely regardless of outcomes. Why? Because the system is designed to reward participation, not results. Government contracts pay on milestones and deliverables, not profitability. Stock options vest on time served, not value created. Restructuring fees are paid to manage failures, not prevent them. And the people who navigate this system best, people like Harrison, aren't criminals. They're optimizers. They've figured out that in a world where the government subsidizes risk, the real money isn't in winning. It's in playing the game long enough to cash out before the music stops. Today, the Solyndra factory sits mostly empty, a monument to wasted potential and misaligned incentives. Brian Harrison's current net worth is estimated in the millions. He's never spoken publicly about Solyndra beyond his congressional testimony. The $535 million in taxpayer losses was written off as the cost of innovation, a rounding error in a $90 billion program. And somewhere in Washington, right now a new program is being designed. New subsidies, new loan guarantees, new opportunities for companies to chase government money instead of customers. New Brian Harrisons are updating their resumes. Because the system didn't break. It worked exactly as intended. The government paid him to do nothing. He got rich. And tomorrow, it'll happen again.